A lovely Tuesday morning it is, and we're much obliged, as always, to bring you a special focus on the 2023 election. Welcome to Nigerian Decides live studios of Independent Television this beautiful Tuesday morning. A special countdown to the 2023 general elections, where we intend to continuously keep you up to date with all the happenings in the build-up to the election. Yesterday we got off to a flying start with our presentation on the program, and today we will continue tomorrow, next tomorrow, until Friday, and then of course the series continues. But essentially, you watch out for all the topics or the issues that will be X-raying on the program as we get along. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun, and I'm joined today by my colleague Philip Omo-Bukmo. Philip, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be here. Good morning, Sonny Duke.
Good morning. Yeah. We started a conversation yesterday on the candidates vying for the presidential seat. 18 of them altogether. That's such a large number.
Of course, yes.
And as is always the case, you'd expect that while some of the candidates at their individual levels are very popular, and then some of the political parties, because of how they've been, the history they've had with our political development, they're also very, very popular. So the onus is on the electorate to look at the spectrum of candidates and political parties before them and make a choice.
Well, I think it's a very dicey moment as we gradually get to the polls. We just have barely 11 days to the election, February 25. And just like you said, the onus lies on them to get themselves prepared. Of course, they've sold their manifestos. This is not the time to be talking about that, because they must have sold their manifestos to the electorate. It's now the decision of the electorate to determine who's going to take the #1 position of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But again, that is not going to be an easy thing anyways for all the presidential candidates, because you look at the pool of the presidential candidates, we have about 4 which are really on the front line. Talking about that of the NNPP, Kwankwaso, Atiku, PDP, and of course Tinubu of APC and Labour Party. But there is this challenge where we have it in the news that sometimes, we can't really depend or rely on some news, some items on the news stream. But we just got it yesterday that one Southwest chapter leader of the Labour Party, in the person of Omotosho Banji, collapsed the structure of Labour Party into the APC. That again, we sent shivers down the spine of Nigerians, and of course the party. And how is the Labour Party presidential candidate going to react to that? But again, on the headlines today, we just got that was fake news, that there's nothing like that. So we expect such things happening as we gradually get close to the election. But one thing is sure, we also have issues about the Atiku, the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, saying that he has cancelled the presidential campaign in Rivers State. Of course, we know because the strong man in PDP, who is the governor of Rivers State, Wike. So these are expected, as we get along close to the election. But it's all up to the electorate to decide. It's not going to be an easy task.
As is always the case, politicians will come up with different antics, different strategies, and structures and systems to be able to undermine whatever any other political parties doing in the build-up to the election. Some of them, one of the greatest strategy is share propaganda, and then social media, the new media has really given that fillip.
Happy to swell.
For them to do some of these things, because they see the platform as an opportunity to just get a story out, skew the story in a particular direction, and then boom, is everywhere on social media. On the first contact, the story that emanated from the Southwest of a particular chieftain of the Labour Party collapsing, the structure into the APC and all of that. On the first contact, you just believe it, but you need to go deeper. And I was seeing reactions and counter reactions. We're going to see more of that coming up in the days to come.
Definitely. And just as we also have it in the news, over the one that also sends shiver down the spine of some Nigerians when it talked about INEC under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu saying that they're going to be stopping elections in 240 polling units.
Yeah.
That actually, again, is another challenge because you look at it, there's need for the INEC, the electoral umpire, to have a comprehensive list published, which although the chairman of INEC said is going to do that, because one thing is sure, we have these polling units, and it is expected that the presidential candidates would have their own loyalists or their fans scattered around these units, polling units. But what greets us yesterday was that the essence, the reason for stopping elections in these polling units is attributed to insecurity, and that registered voters didn't indicate interest to be in such polling units to vote. Well, that again is another that could also count. That will also be before the presidential candidates on how they're going to tackle
It's
that.
a major factor because you're looking at it from insecurity. I mean, basically, the major focus of our discussion today is the threats to the 2023 election.
Yes, of course.
Whether we like it or not, insecurity has been there for such a long time. I mean, even all through the time President Goodluck Jonathan was holding sway, we had insecurity as a problem. And now President Muhammad Buhari has been in the saddle, insecurity has been there. And that to some people, in the last couple of years, is worsened. The insecurity situation in the country has exploded, all right? And so you expect that will be part of the challenges that INEC has to deal with in conducting elections. So for those areas that have been identified, and INEC is saying that election will not take place in those areas because of the insecurity situation. It's quite unfortunate because you want to interface that with some of the comments that are coming from security agencies telling you that, look, we're on top of the situation.
Of course, yes.
We are putting all our acts together to ensure that election holds across the country. So if we are hearing now that there are areas because of insecurity challenges, elections won't take place, that's certainly a big shame.
Most especially when we also look at the marching order by the president when he gave the service chiefs that a mandate that by the end of December 2022, issues about insecurity should be tackled.
That would just be begging the question, because it's not a question of making a statement.
No.
It's not a question of giving a directive. I mean, you must match words with action, right? We need to look at our own security structure or infrastructure to see how it's prompt to be able to deal with issues. Do you understand? So if you make a statement or you give a directive and then the requirements needed to be able to deal with that issue is not available. It's just an empty statement, because we can't forget that this president once told an IGP to relocate to a particular state where there was high incidence of insecurity, and the IGP didn't go, and he didn't know. And then when he was confronted, he told Nigerians that he didn't know that when he asked the man to go to that state, the man didn't go to that state. So it's not a question of making statement or giving directive. You have to match it with action.
Of course.
You have to see to it that it is done. When you give a directive, give all the needed enabling environment to ensure that what you have said materializes. Of course. And then people will appreciate you better.
And basically, that's exactly what is expected, Nigerians expect from the president.
Yes.
He's done precisely 8 years, as we can see just a few months left.
How time flies.
How time flies,
really, yeah.
But again, if you look at it, we expected that in the 8-year plan, all of these issues about insecurity should be at its barest. We shouldn't at this point be looking at or seeing it in the news stream or coming from the very chair of the electoral umpire that 214 polling units will not hold elections. That's ridiculous.
It gives you an insight into the realities. When you talk about the realities, beyond what we read on the front pages, back pages, what we read online, some of the propagandas, the press statements, press releases, interviews given or being granted by some of these government officials. The reality is what is staring at our faces now, that in these council areas or these wards or this unit or polling unit, as the case may be, election will not take place because of insecurity problem. And that's understandable. It's understandable. But I expected that with all the assurances that those in charge, we shouldn't have this kind of scenario playing out. But I'm hoping that in spite of that, it's not going to have a major impact on the election ultimately.
I was going through reports by the presidential candidate of the Accord Party, and he was also saying, Professor Chris Immolen, was also saying that there are threats to the 2023 elections, and this shouldn't be an agenda or a cover-up of any body to, use this to extend the election, because the election should be February 25 and March 11 for a gubernatorial race, and it should be that as circumstance as it should be. But again, there are these threats that, like we've always looked at this issue of the twin monsters in the petrol and naira scarcity. That again is another challenge. It's not even dwindling.
It's not, because
it's even worsening.
As early as 5 a.m. this morning, as early as 5 this morning, I just drove, around town. I saw some, ATM machines, and I was wondering what's the ceremony going on.
Okay.
And I realized that it wasn't a ceremony. It was people coming early to take a queue so that they can get cash from the ATM machines. And all across the state, all across the country,
we have this scenario.
Yes. So they are calling on CBN governor. If you can't, after the last Federal Executive Council meeting, a directive was given to the CBN governor to make more funds, make more naira notes available. We heard that out of about 2.3 trillion naira in circulation, the CBN
allegedly about 2 trillion.
Yes, printed about 300 billion naira.
Okay.
So how is that going to augment what is the circulation? So you go to the bank, they collect money from you, all right? Rather than give you the exact amount you gave, they give you less, something, in fact, far less. So that becomes a problem for you. So that's why you're having this problem.
Yes.
And it's affecting a lot of businesses. You find some business owners who can't stock properly because of the transaction process is cumbersome. When you go to the market, you want to buy stuff, you probably want to do a transfer, it's not going. So if you had to buy a large quantity of things, you have no choice but to reduce it so that it will match with the amount of funds that is at your disposal. And then you also have other alternatives of making payment, not also living up to expectation. Sometimes you do a transfer, the person you transfer to doesn't get the money, but you get debited.
Your money gets trapped.
It's trapped somewhere, and then you have to go to the bank to rectify it. When you go to the bank, there's a long, winding queue that will take ages before it gets to your turn. I was in the banks a few days ago. Someone came, and the guy said, okay, well, what's the number? They said number 200 and something. It's okay, I'm 200 and, or he's 250. So let me go to somewhere and come back. He has to leave and then come back later to take his turn. This is the scenario that is playing. So all of these, whether we like it or not, are major threats to the election. But those in charge are assuring us that in spite of the challenges, the election will hold. Everybody should come out and cast their votes as and when due. But we hope that there will not be grounds for us to hear the unexpected, as far as this election is concerned.
I think my kudos goes to Nigerians who have been resilient, in spite of the hardship, in spite of the challenges we've been faced with. They're still not building up unrest, and they're still calm.
I think,
and that's exactly what is expected.
That's understandable. It's understandable because, Nigerians have been battered and beaten black, blue, red. By virtues of the realities we have in the country. The economy is biting hard. Fuel scarcity is there. Cash scarcity is there.
We have scarcity all around.
Insecurity.
Even unemployment.
All of these challenges are there. So you find that, I tried to do some research a few days ago, looking at the issue of voter apathy. And I found out that in most elections, when there is a transition from one administration of a particular individual to a new administration, on account of the lack of performance or poor performance of the outgoing administration, there's always a heightened interest of people wanting to vote, particularly Nigerians. And that's exactly what is playing out now. If you ask the INEC official, they will tell you, you have more people come out to register this time.
Yes.
More people coming out to indicate interest or want to participate in the election. That's because of what they've gone through in the last 8 years.
Yes.
In most cases, if you find that, if you have a particular president in power after his first term and is going for a second term, people are really less interested. But when it comes to the term is completed now, we want a new person come on board. You find everybody coming all out to say, look, I think we want to be part of this process, and
that actually what you said was even being corroborated, you know, on one of the dailies that I read yesterday, you know, and even looking at the reports where we have to juxtapose between the figure we had among registered voters in the 2019 election. We had about 82 million, and today we have 96.3 million registered voters. But if we look at the portion of voters that poured in to vote in 2019, we had 28 million. You know, in 2015 rather, we had 28 million. So are we going to have an increased number, you know, that will comparatively, you know, match the figures of over 10 million registered voters that we have now in the poll? So if we have that, then it means that there's really an improvement for 2023. But where is that going to tilt towards? Will it tilt towards making a change the way Nigerians want? Or will the incumbency factor
keep our
play out in this regard?
We'll keep our
Don't forget the incumbency factor. Some are also scared about this.
The incumbency factor is there. But you see, in this election, one thing is clear. It's not really about political parties. It's about individuals. Because we have seen some of the major political parties, we know their history, we know their antecedents, we need their pedigree. So all of that is really not going to count. It's about you as an individual, what are you bringing to the table?
Of course, yes.
The incumbency factor you're talking about is based on the fact that, okay, this person, this is a party in place, this is a party in government. But you find the discordant tunes even within the rank and file of the party in government, because in one of the presidential campaigns, President Muhammadu Buhari said, look, go out there, vote candidate of your choice, vote your mind. I mean, that's supposed to be the leader, supposed leader of the party saying that. So those are the kind of scenarios that are playing out. As relates to the statistics that you gave, 2015, you can see that in 2015, we were moving from one government to another. The government of President Goodluck Jonathan, and then to President Muhammadu Buhari, you see that upsurge. Now, in 2019, we had about 70 million registered voters. Of that number, about 35% came out and voted. 65% didn't come out to vote. So that tells you this challenge of voter apathy. But you see that with all the information that is coming out in terms of registration by the electorate, it's going to be a different scenario. I know that the numbers that will come out to vote are going to be the number is really going to be much because of the situation in the country, as you see.
And you are very sure that the scarcity around the twin monsters, petrol and notes, wouldn't affect that.
The scarcity of cash, the scarcity of naira note, the scarcity of petrol is a blessing in disguise. In the sense that Nigerians, they turn their frustrations into their ballot. Yes, they will express it, you know, using the ballot to express how they feel about the fuel scarcity, about the cash scarcity, and naira scarcity. So that's why you saw that even the presidential candidate of the APC was piqued by some of these development. Like, you know, those in power are trying to frustrate my effort or trying to make it difficult for me to prevail in this election.
Some say that was just a drama.
How do you explain that we are the party in government, we are the party in power, here we are today facing two monsters, like you've called them, two demons that are ravaging the country, fuel scarcity and then naira scarcity. I mean, is that supposed to be a plus for the party in power or a minus for the party in power?
I was going through the papers again, and there was this blame game, or not really blame game, there was this claims and counterclaims, you know, over the Nigerian Minting Company running out of paper to print more of the new naira notes. And we saw that some days back, we saw that. But yesterday, we also saw reports where the CBN governor was refuting that claim, that there was nothing like that, that there was never a time that The CBN made that statement, disclosed that.
Yeah.
But again, what does that tell you? It tells you that there seems not to be respite in the direction of some agency that is supposed to be saddled with the responsibility of making things work, most especially in the circulation in the financial sector.
Where truth is
deposit
not
money banks
available.
are also having this challenge.
Yes, where truth is not available, rumors will always fly, half-truths will always fly, and when you have truth, then people can relate with it, show understanding, and then we can comport ourselves. But where truth is not in existence,
Expect anything.
anything can be said. Anything that you say will fly. Just like you said, there was a story that the Nigerian printing and
Printing
meeting company
Oh,
they
yeah,
have
papers.
enough papers to print. I mean, that would tally with the reality now. Why? Because we don't have enough new Naira notes. And so if somebody spills up a report that the reason we don't have new Naira notes is because the Nigerian printing and meeting company doesn't have enough paper to print, it will fly. So that's why I said, because many a times we don't come out with the truth early enough, it creates the environment for rumors to fly. And then when the rumor starts flying, you have an odious task to start refuting those rumors, trying to dispel those rumors. No, that's not true. This is exactly what happened. This was, you are trying to spend more time, spend more energy, spend more resources to be able to douse those rumors that are flying around, which is quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate. I think that's where some will say, well, Nigeria seems to be a country that peddles fairy tales.
Yeah,
And we just hope that we won't be having this in the coming election. But
Anyways,
I know basically that the electorate would make their voice heard in their...
The election is now for the electorates to decide.
Yes.
You look at our political process, I mean, you have a time for nomination, party primaries, and then eventually at that level, is the political parties that are holding sway. They decide who they want to be the presidential candidate, the senatorial candidate, or the candidates in their political party. But once that is done, the onus is now on the electorate to decide who becomes what in the election proper. Because the election proper, the decision on who becomes what, is not rested only on the members of the political party. In any case, they are just a minority when it comes to the larger population of Nigerians. How many Nigerians belongs to a political party? And that's something we can talk about another day.
A lot.
Get involved in political parties, because that's the reason why you have all kinds of people of low quality, low mentality, low capacity coming up to say they are bringing themselves up for political position. If you, for example, you want to contest for State House of Assembly, and then you can't even speak English, you can't even communicate, you can't interact. So when you get to the House of Assembly, what are you going to be doing there?
You give turnaround.
Anyway,
You can't give what you have.
It's the Nigerian Decides live studio of Independent Television. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you on the program. Don't go away.